Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Alliance podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Clay, and with me today, uh, almost didn't make it. Uh, Katie, how you doing today?
Uh, I've chilled all day. I look a hot mess, but I got to sleep in today, so that was amazing.
Oh man, I recently, I think it was actually last night. I I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get ahead of the game. I'm going to do some homework, and I will be honest, I procrastinated with this book up until last night. I opened it for the first time last night, and I finished it last night. Uh,
So I read it about 3 weeks ago, and then forgot that we were covering it today, so I didn't reread it. Y'all, I promise I'm gonna get my shit together at some point or another.
well, like for me, I will say I have not been a very good. Well, like for me personally, like I have self-diagnosed ADHD. Like I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I just haven't gotten tested yet. But I am overly obsessed with um scheduling. So like I make I make like on my phone I have like the reminders app, and I have one for every single day of the week. I have a list of like anywhere from 5 to 10 things on it, and I just haven't been on top of that lately. And usually it is all decked out. I know exactly what I'm doing. And for this past week it has not been great. So when I was like, okay, I'm finally going to sit down. I'm going to sit here and read this book. Now, I do have opinions on this book, and we will talk about it. But
Yes.
I was just like, whew, I was worn out. I went to bed at like 2 a.m., woke up at 5, then fell asleep again, woke up at 8. Like I was all over the place this morning. But let's go ahead and start off uh with the beginning plugs, like we always do. Of course, everybody
Yep.
knows that this is a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. We have 8 shows over the course of 7 days a week. Of course, starting on Sundays with Slice of Film, the most recent one being Bond, which got a lot of traffic during the live. It
Yes.
was so cool. I got the notification, and because I was just doing stuff for homework and doing stuff on my computer, I have dual monitors, so I set one up over here, put it on mute, and I just was kind of looking at everybody's animations. I was looking at everybody commenting. It was getting a lot of traffic, and that was really really cool. So if you haven't listened
Yes.
to the No Time to Die review, go see it first if you haven't seen it, and then go listen to it. So
It was so cool to do a live and actually have interactions like in the chat because Slice of Film never does lives, but I was like, haven't done an episode in over a month. Like, this is a big movie, so let's talk about it. And y'all, I'm so happy like it got so many interactions on YouTube. So yes, thanks to everybody who listened and tuned in.
I would encourage you to do the same thing for Ghostbusters if possible, because
Ghostbusters.
I feel like that one is going to be pretty big.
I feel like that one and Dune would be two very good ones
Oh
to
yeah,
go live for.
Dune is what, next week already?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh yeah. That's, is it the 22nd or is it the 26th? Because I
It's
thought
the
I just
22nd.
saw some. Wasn't it Snell that was talking
It's
in
it's
our?
the 22nd because I just saw they're gonna put it on HBO Max the night of the 21st.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So next week, so that'll be fun. Uh, I I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it because I might have some homework stuff to do. But
Mhm.
of course, start off the week with Slice of Film. Then on Mondays, it is World's Finest True Believers and Ranger Alliance. They go every other week. World's Finest True Believers this week was with an old friend of mine, a good friend of mine, not an old friend, a good friend, Mark Fossis, who was my co-host for Comic Book Legion podcast, was over on World's Finest True Believers with Chris. Really, really good talk about, oh shoot, I forgot the name of the book. Hold on one second. The book that they were talking about basically changed both Chris and Mark's life. called Day Tripper.
Okay.
So go check that out. Really good interview between the two of them. And then, of course, World after World's Finest True Believers, the week after that is Ranger Alliance. This month is me and Tony. I just got in contact with Jake. Jake is going to take over in November with me. That'll be fun. And then, of course, on Monday nights is DC Alliance. This week, Travis Hines could not make it for me. Well, couldn't make it to the show with me. And so me and Joe took over and we talked the Injustice League. We talked about, of course, regular reviews and our predictions for DC fandom, which is this weekend. We're going to be doing a live reaction. We're going to do a giant crossover event with the GUA and Geekverse. It's going to be very, very fun. So make sure you are subscribed to Geekverse YouTube channel. Press the subscribe button and make sure your notifications are turned on. So after
Do the YouTubey things.
yes, after DC Alliance goes live on Monday, the feed is there on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is superhero discussions. And then, of course, like today, we are always live on Star Wars Alliance Wednesday nights with the feed dropping on Thursdays. And then on Thursday night is Marvel Alliance over at the Geekverse YouTube channel. They go live, and then Friday they drop the feed. And then every other Saturday is a walk through the Multiverse over there with Joe. So we are a fully stacked podcast network with, of course, we do still have the Patreon. That's how we what is it over here? There's so many sayings. We always keep it. It's the Kyber
Keep
crystals.
the kyber crystals charged around here.
Yes. And we haven't we've had discussions, me and Katie, about possibly, of course, doing a conversation about how Star Wars could be a little bit more in line with the MCU. We're not entirely sure if we're going to do that as a what Travis likes to call an amalgam chat, or if we would like to make the discussion here on Star Wars Alliance. But either way, we will let you guys know, and you could possibly be listening to that episode early with Patreon. $1 tier just says thank you and helps support us. $5 tier is what gives you that exclusive content. So with all of that, oh, and of course, we want to go ahead and also remind you guys, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars Alliance all have their separate feeds. They are going to still be a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance, so if you would like to just subscribe there, you can. But if you would like to listen to this separately, they do have their own feed. So,
and I want to go ahead and announce the only person who rated and reviewed us on their favorite podcatcher, John Hazelton. So, John, you are the winner of the signed Ronin book by Emma Miyako Candon. Yes, mine's in the other room. I almost grabbed it, and then I was like, we're not talking about that today.
This, I know we will be talking about it later, but I still haven't had my credit for Audible yet to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just opened it, read the first page. I'm like, okay, has me hooked. I'm ready to read it. This is kind of like chunky. I like it. Like I dig it. And
I feel like it's bigger than the other book.
it does feel a little taller than the rest of them. So we will see. I haven't put it up next to all of my High Republic or Star Wars books down there, but very, very exciting, John. I'm jealous that you get to have a signed version of this book. This book has been making the rounds on Twitter. Everybody is talking about it, which is really, really cool. I think I shared with the GUA, the voice actor is also very, very excited about narrating Ronin for Audible. And of course, this is a Del Rey production, so I'm super excited to be listening to it. It's going to have sound effects, everything that I love about their productions. I'm super, super excited about it.
I think he's done a fantastic job. I've got 5 hours and 11 minutes left in the book, and I'm going to be honest, I am going to have to reread it because I started listening to it while I was working, and I got, like, really engrossed in what I was working in and missed, like, 45 minutes
Oof.
and I'm listening to it at 1.5 speed. So it was like, oh, I just missed an hour of the book. So definitely gonna have to reread it. But now that I have my hard copy, that will be what I'm reading at night. So
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be listening to it at work for the first 4 hours at work. I just work with my hands. I don't really do anything with a computer or anything to get me too focused. So I'll be listening to it for about 3 to 4 days because I think it's about 12 hours long. So that's going to be fun. And then after I read it via Audible, I'm going to read it physically as well, so that way we can each have two rereads before we actually review it.
yep. And that's why I keep highlighters, y'all. I do annotate in my books, and I'm writing a review
Oh,
for this one for Full Circle Cinema, so I want to be able to go back and look at like key stuff. I
you
only
highlight?
highlight.
Uh, I don't know how I feel about that. I like
I like
it.
taking notes, and I tried the Post-it note method that a lot of people have said. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, it just makes the book super bulky. Like,
Well,
so I would just rather write on the book.
I guess it makes sense more so because you read at night, right? You probably read like in bed, probably, right?
Yeah.
So that would make sense. For me, I'm always the type of person, and I don't know if I've just become like super engrossed with the love of my computer and my laptop and stuff. I always read in this chair. So if I'm taking notes, I'm taking notes on my laptop or my phone or my computer. So I can
Yeah.
totally understand if you're reading in your bed or whatever, you don't want to have like a heavy laptop like on your,
Oh, no.
whatever. So that's understandable. Still kind of makes me cringe. Like it's scary. Like, ugh, I don't know.
You should see my Light of the Jedi book.
No, you didn't
And
the
I have
Rising
the fancy
Storm?
out of print.
Okay,
I did not do it in the Rising Storm
okay,
because
okay.
I didn't end up writing a review for that because everything was chaotic with my life.
Which,
So
by the way, we're not going to review it today. I
we're
think
not. That's not the topic today.
it's not the topic today, but today is Wednesday, which is considered New Comic Book Day. Just wanted to let everybody know. Trial of Shadows came out for Marvel,
Yeah.
issue number 1, which depicts what happened at the end of the Rising Storm.
Did
So
you see the first image? Like the first page?
I have
Or is it the
not.
first page?
I
They
think
did like a
it's the.
preview
Oh no,
image.
it's the first page. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It breaks
Yeah.
my heart. It breaks my heart.
I
It,
was like, "Oh my gosh, they got like the dust going and everything."
yeah, that's heartbreaking. But we will talk about that when it is full out in trade. What we are going to be talking about today is, of course, Star Wars: The High Republic: The Edge of Balance. So, Katie, before we go into heavy spoilers or anything else, reading this, how did you feel about this book? Like any high level thoughts, no spoilers.
So genuinely, I was very confused on if Lily was a like Padawan or anything of the sorts because like she's with her master and she doesn't have the braid in the image, which is like what I probably should have like seen. But I was very confused on Lily's characterization. Like this is probably the first piece of High Republic media where I was like, uh
A little on the downside, right?
yeah.
I will go ahead and share my thoughts. I know that Star Wars has become very famous for filling in the gaps when it comes to whether it be the original trilogy, filling in the gaps with comics, or filling in the gaps with novels. They're doing the same thing with the High Republic. The High Republic, they're
Mhm.
bringing out their own little trilogy within itself, within the novels, and then they're filling in gaps with comics, manga, things like that. Honestly, and I really hate to say this for anybody who really enjoyed this book, I don't think this book needed to exist.
No. And I hate it, but like I I really hated the black and white aspect. Like when I read mangas in the past, like they're full of color and they're full of life. And I was like, where's the color? Did like I get an unfinished book? And then I realized it was the intent of the book
Yeah,
to be
like
black and white.
there's some manga like I feel like older mangas, older mangas were more into the color. Recently, within the last 15 years or so, they have been strictly black and white, and then they'll do like a color page like every so once in a while, whether it be in the intro or the ending or whatever. I knew the intent because, of course, you're wanting it to make it a traditional manga. But also, if you wanted to make it a traditional manga, it needed to read the opposite way.
Right.
So that was the very first thing that I noticed when, as soon as it came in, I noticed that the book was opening in the wrong direction. And I was like, oh no, this is
Because
not what I wanted it to be.
I was like, the only reason I automatically assumed, okay, it starts at the like tradition, like a regular book, was because the cover was here, and I was like, okay, the cover's here, and it's not going to be right. Because I was fully expecting it to go left to
I-
right.
yeah. Like all the other manga that I have right behind me. And honestly, so I need to say this, and I want to say this as sensitive as possible, and it's not that like it's very harsh or anything, but I genuinely think they wanted to make this a manga for the fact that this character they made look like
Yeah.
she is Japanese or from that side of the world, but this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like Japanese is not a race in Star Wars. Now I do know that there are some races in Star Wars that are, very similar to Japanese or whatever. Um Skin complexion and everything else, but it just like I just don't know why they did this to this book.
And I don't get me wrong, I completely like support having like representation
Yes.
in Star Wars of different races like that we see around us on a daily basis. But yes, I think you're right. The only reason they made this a manga was because she looks Japanese.
Yeah.
And I hate it because I wanted to love it so much, and the art is fantastic. Um, just the story is what gets me down, and yeah, that's about all I have to say, really, like non-spoiler-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, let's go ahead and jump into spoilers. Um, I think that I will say this is mainly the one thing that we have for today, other than we have a little bit of news to talk about. Do you want to go
yes,
ahead and talk about this very because I don't think this review is going to be very long, to be completely honest, because I thought this was going to be a very long read. If you actually look, because of the actual preview that they have for volume 2, which to be completely honest, I'm probably going to get volume 2 as well. This is a
once
100.
it comes out physically. Right now, it's only supposed to be digitally.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
that's
planning to
right.
get it if it's a digital
That's right.
release.
If it's digital release only, then I'm probably not going to get it. Um, but this is 142 pages
This is the
without,
whole story.
yeah, without uh the volume 2 preview.
And the
This is
bonus chapter.
and the bonus chapter. This is actually really quick.
Yeah, it's about the length of, I would say, like a traditional graphic novel.
Yeah. It moves very, very quickly. I will say that's probably because of the panel layout as well. Things are happening really, really fast. And also, this is for majority of this is a giant fight. The main villain or the main antagonist in this story is the Drengir.
Yep.
This happens kind of at the same time as the incident in, oh shoot, where was the fair?
Valo.
Valo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is happening around the exact same time. The one thing I will say, and we'll kind of just like throw it out there. It happens at the very end. This is the one thing that like made me like perk my ears up, and I'm like, oh snap. Lily has a nightmare or a vision, a force vision, at the very end of the book, where it shows the Drengir are still like there, and she sees somebody in a mask. But the mask itself, I didn't know. Do you think so? The mask can be, yes, it could be two possibilities. That mask. I immediately thought of Martian Rowe, of course. And then my second guess was, oh shoot, the Tempest Runner, Lorna D.
Lorna D.
I thought either Lorna D or Martian Rowe. What do you think?
I don't think it really could be either. For me, I think one of the things to consider is the Nihil are very fast and they all wear masks.
Yeah,
So we don't see the full encasing of the mask on the character because it's just like you see the eye area and then the rest is like covered in Drinkier vines. So I think it really could be anyone.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't
And
necessarily want to.
I think it might be teasing what the end of the story tease, and we'll get there when we get there. But let's go ahead and move to the very beginning. I will say this: the one thing that it was a love-hate relationship for me. I love as a species in Star Wars, and I've always wanted more of them, and I wanted to explore them as a species and an entity in the Star Wars realm. Are Wookiees? I think they are my favorite
Yeah.
in all of Star Wars. Just because, like, as soon as a kid you see Chewbacca and you're like, that's so cool, and then you learn that there was an entire race and they had their own planet. You're like, okay, well, where was the rest of them? Like, did they have a past? And we found out in Clone Wars that there was like a youngling that was a Padawan that was a Wookiee as well, and so you're like, oh crap, they could be Jedi. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. And so seeing Master, I'm gonna get it wrong, I know.
Oh
Uh
gosh, what was his name?
it started with an A. It's like I almost called
Urkoff.
him Arkoff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Master Arkoff, I loved him in this book and I hated him in this book. And the reason why is the way they write the responses to him. So, I think one of the most clever things that Star Wars has ever done, um, in the movies is the fact that people are having conversations with Chewbacca, and we as the audience don't understand Chewbacca, but whoever is talking to him does. And we as the audience kind of have to figure out their conversation. This kinds of it kind of dumbs it down. Every single person that talks to him repeats what he says. Oh, you mean go here? Oh, you mean do this? Oh, you do. Oh, you're saying that I'm right? Oh, you're saying that I'm wrong?
Yeah,
It
it doesn't really work for this visual type of media. Like it
Yes.
works better in the books because you're not actively seeing like the body language and like the imagery of the people who are talking. And so yes, I would agree with you there. Like I don't think it was done really well.
And there were some moments where they just instinctively just responded to him and it felt natural and it felt like, okay, I was like, okay, this is what I've always wanted in a conversation with a Wookiee. Is just I know for a fact people understand him and I have
Mhm.
to basically take the subcontext to know exactly what he is trying to say to these characters. It
Yeah.
got really annoying really quickly when everybody started to just repeat what he was saying. And you knew that they were repeating what they said because of the way, like the tonal change of how you're supposed to be reading these characters' dialogue. That
Yeah.
was really annoying. But I loved him in this book because he just looks awesome.
He's
I,
probably the my favorite character in here. Like the art style on him is really well done. Um
I
and,
love
like, the
his
fight
robe,
scenes where he's
everything.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fight scenes, his robe, it's all really well done.
And he does have this like very much like master Jedi wisdom that everybody is
Yeah,
like looking for when talking to him that I really do enjoy. And you know, that is a stereotypical thing for Star Wars, but I feel like you needed it in this instance. In your little nitpick or whatever that you said beforehand, you didn't really know if Lily was a Padawan or a master or whatever. I was confused by that as well. She was saying in the beginning of the book, "Oh, well, my Padawan." And I was
it
like,
sounded like she was talking future tense, but she
"Yeah,
actually the guy who's on the cover for volume 2 is actually her Padawan,
yes."
but that's really not clear in this.
No, not at all. I can't remember his name. Uh I feel like it's very uh Kareen.
Korean.
Yeah, Keerin.
Can I just
Kieran
say,
or what, yeah.
as a general, like, nitpick for all Star Wars books, especially ones that introduce new characters, can we please put a list of characters at the front of the damn book?
So one thing that I love about Marvel, uh, I haven't really paid attention to see if they do it in the High Republic or the Star Wars books, but generally, if you open a Marvel book, they will have like your opening credits and have the characters that are going to be a part of the story. It's something that I really enjoy. So that way I know, okay, I can always look back at that page and say, okay, this is going to be the people that I need to remember for this story. It's something that I feel like more stories and which book is that is doing it?
This is Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good, and the first one, Chaos Rising, has this as well. Dramatis Personae were very standard in Legends books as they got later on in publishing. And unfortunately, when Disney switched to canon, Disney bought them, they stopped doing them. And so because of the chiss names and like the terminology and everything, they got brought back for these novels. And I just really wish they'd like put them back in because they're so useful to go, okay, like um I've changed it. But like you've got like Senior Captain Thrawn, Trialborn. And then like in some cases it would tell you, oh, Jaina Solo, Mara Skywalker's Padawan. And it would kind of give you an inclination of who all the names were. It would like tell you pronunciation and everything. And so it's just like it's nice to have.
Yeah. Now, the the whole thing, the whole reasoning behind them going to I see this is another reason why I guess you have the opening crawl in the beginning technically.
Yes. So the
Um
planet that's the main focus is Banshee.
Banshee, yeah, okay. So Banshee is a planet that they're going to because there are refugees that are needing a place of settlement. They're farmers, and Banshee is a very like what's the right terminology that I'm trying to find here? It's just starting up in
Yeah.
their civilization and their farming and everything else. And they're like, "Oh, it's rich in soil, it's great for farming." And these characters, you don't really see a whole lot of them as far as the civilians, but you kind of get the sense that, like, okay, these Jedi were clearly posted here as, the protectors, because, of course, everything happening with the emergencies, you know,
Mhm.
the Jedi wanted to spread out to make sure that, of course, the galaxy is protected. So we get these settlers, they come in, we get this like random dude that is very keen on having these very special seeds grown because they came from his home world and everything. Very suspicious. It plays off later on in the book. I don't know how I should feel about Lily. And the reason being, she's having these conversations with her master, her Padawan, and like it's so weird because like the only way I could describe it is like she doesn't think fondly of kids. She's like not that she hates them, but like she describes it as, oh, they're unpredictable. They have very absent minds. They don't pay attention. Like, and she's just harping on these kids. And then, of course, like, I guess the cool thing in this book is the fact that she like has to rely on them at one point, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
show that she is growing as an individual. But there's so many different things in this story that has Lily kind of like, I don't know, like I understand
She
a character.
feels like a child almost
Yes,
in this.
she feels very, again, I don't say this in a bad way. I say this in a, hey, this is stereotypical and I'm not sure that I like it. So me growing up, there was a lot of stereotypes for Chinese and Japanese individuals that, of course, they're very smart, they're good at math, blah, blah, all those stereotypes. But one of the big things, the very big stereotype is that because of the way they are raised, they are very strict in how they do things and how they
Mhm.
live life. And she kind of looks at these children, Lily looks at these children like they have no order. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're a Jedi and these are younglings. They have order. They just are younger. And it just sounded like she was looking down on them. And her Padawan at one point was like, well, weren't you like that as a kid? And she doesn't say anything. He's like, oh, well, thinking about it, you probably weren't. You're probably the exact same. And
Which
that,
and it kind of stinks because the story is by Shima Shinya and Justina Ireland. And I'm assuming Shima helped like contribute a lot of like the Japanese elements and like sticking towards a more manga format.
mhm,
And then Justina provided like the High Republic elements, like
yeah,
developing the characters because she's the one who's going to be using these characters in other she's going to be one of the people who use these characters in other forms of media. And I feel like with Justina Ireland's success at developing Vernestra Rowe, it kind of feels like this character falls flat in terms of similar development because she can't be older than 23, 24. Like so she's still very young. And I mean Stella Gios is in this at the very beginning and the very end and he treats
yeah,
her as such. Love him. But he treats her as very young, almost like he does with Vernestra Rowe in the two books where they've kind of interacted. And so it's just like it feels very flat. Flat's not the right word, but it is.
it is and it isn't. And I don't want this to be a huge like hate fest on it. It's just very unfortunate that this book kind of fell in a spot that, like I said, this book doesn't really need to be made, but I understand they were wanting to reach a completely new audience. You know, they used manga, they used Japanese culture, and they're wanting to integrate it into, Star Wars.
You know what I almost feel like this would have been done better as?
Hmm.
You've already got connections with Japanese studios. Why not really make this an animated short? An
I
anime
was
short.
I was kind of thinking that as well. Uh because of course, me me on Star Wars is not me on DC. Um I love everything that's coming out for Star Wars recently, and like it kind of bums me out to read something and just be like, it's just I want to love it because it's a medium that I have absolutely fallen in love with recently. I can't stop buying manga. Abby is not liking it, but it's it for this. I know that it can be done in a very well received manner because we just all watched Visions together. This type of medium or this direction, should I say, can be done correctly. I just don't think this was the right story to tell. Because maybe that's it as
Yeah.
well. Because, like I
And
said, this was very, very quick. It was, hey, there's because
I think I was
it
literally done in an hour.
yeah, maybe even less time for me. The whole premise was we're going onto this planet, we're meeting these characters. Oh, by the way, this one individual is acting suspicious. Oh, hey, he is saying that he's fine, but maybe not really. Oh, there's people missing. Oh, the Dringir. Oh, attack. Oh, everything's fine now. Like,
One of the things I did find interesting, you bring that up, and I remembered something. So in this, the villagers that they're bringing to Banshee are actually turning to wood in this. And this is the first case where we've actually seen the Dringir do more than just eat.
yes.
And so that's an interesting turn of events. Um, and I don't
Didn't we
think
hold on. Didn't we see or technically read people being turned into wood in was it Into the Dark?
oh gosh, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read that
I know
one.
that was like what, February?
Yeah.
But
So here's
I'm
the page.
yes, if you guys are watching on YouTube, we do see we see the first time this happens though, he hasn't completely changed into wood. He was just exposed to like spores or whatever when trying to grow the Dringir. We find out that the individual that was on the ship in the very beginning of the book actually like either got tricked or was working with the Nihil. This is something that is discovered by Lily and her Padawan. And at the end, they start to really like connect the dots. And they're like, oh,
Mhm.
we need to let Starlight Beacon know. And then they're like, oh, wait, we can't just run straight to them. We need evidence. We need to really think this through before we just wave a red flag and saying, hey, this is happening. And then, of course, like I was saying in the beginning of this podcast, there is, in fact, like the very ending shows that there's another settler, another civilian on Banshee, or what is it called?
Is it Banshee or
Ba- Banshee.
Banshee?
It's Banshee. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
Banshee, and he is seemingly Nihil. He's actually
Yeah.
talking to somebody on a comm link. So like they are leaving little steps towards, of course, volume 2, which has already been announced.
It's supposed
I
to come
would
out in February and is digital only currently.
I would like to see how these characters interact with others in maybe another book. Maybe I would like see, I think, honestly, what is it Out of the Shadows and uh oh shoot, A Test of Courage, who was so that medium of books, kind of the younger adult books.
Yeah.
I think
So Test of
that's where
Courage is middle grade, and then the young adult is Out of Shadows.
oh, see, I think because gosh, Test of Courage was actually really good. Like as much as like the target audience was clearly not me.
I love the Test
It
of
was such a
Courage.
good book. I really think Lily and her now 3 Padawans, technically, because she is now at the very end of this book, like in charge of training the younglings and looking after them.
Yeah, and
Um,
she's the Jedi Knight in charge of the outpost on Banshee.
yes,
Banshee.
now that her master goes with Stellan Geos to Starlight Beacon.
Mhm.
I I don't know, like I don't want to completely tear this book apart, because it is Star Wars. I still love Star Wars. I think that with a little bit more direction and quite like possibly, like who knows if this was read like a traditional manga, I kind of feel like my attitude would change because like it's just like that first thing when it like I got the book and I was like, it opens the wrong way. It kind of bothered me, and I think that may have just like shifted the tone of how I was going to perceive this book anyway. But at the same time, it's still Star Wars, and I know that I love Star Wars. I probably will give these characters another chance. Will it be in this franchise of books? You know, the Edge of Balance, probably not, considering
Mhm,
it is digital only for volume 2. I would like to see them interact in, you know, possibly the third wave of the High Republic that's coming out, you know.
mhm. And yeah, I definitely say that. I definitely not gonna be on my top one. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. So you're telling me, wait, okay. So go back to like the very beginning when I complained about not being in color. So you're telling me traditional manga now isn't in color?
Yeah, no. Like I have let's see here. I have over I'm not like a enthusiast yet, but I am collecting a lot. I have right now 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17,
They're all in black and white.
24. I have about 40 volumes of random mangas right now, and they're all in black and white.
That's so sad. Well, and disclaimer, I should have said this up front. The only manga I've ever read is the Legends of Zelda manga, and it was in color, and it was probably like 20 years ago.
Now, see,
So,
like I said, there's some that like because I know for a fact that Attack on Titan and Dragon Ball Z, I don't know any other ones. They have like colored versions, so they sell them as a
okay,
collected like omnibus basically, and
okay,
it'll be Dragon Ball Z colored is what it's called, and it's full color. Now that doesn't bother me mainly because the reason why they do that is like let's pick a title randomly Pokemon. Let's say Pokemon is the title that you choose to read. They come out digitally every single week, and the only way to keep up with that is to just draw it and be done with it. Like don't send it off to a colorist or an
yeah,
inker and all of this. Like you just draw it. Well, it they draw it and ink it, but they don't color it, and you have to keep up with that for it to come out every single week. And
yeah,
then after so long, all those chapters get collected into a volume and then sent off to be published into an actual physical volume. So that is mainly the reason why. Uh,
gotcha.
I could see like I honestly think that Ronin would be kind of cool because you would have like this like Akira type of feel to
Yeah.
to the manga, but I'm glad that we get a novelization just for the fact that
Mhm.
we're getting an Audible and I can listen to it.
Well,
Um,
and you can't really call it a novelization because novelization means you're novelizing the whole thing. The first 2 chapters are the novelization. The rest of it is an original tale that the author wrote.
true, true, very, very true. Um, but moving, through this book, I think we've hit all the big parts of this. Um, we see that there is growth with Lily, but like again, like the really popular thing, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think that um Star Wars especially, and you're starting to see it a lot in Marvel and DC, but Star Wars especially notices that the real world that we are living in right now um, is definitely going through changes in how we view media and how we live life.
Definitely.
And it has been said plenty of times that these stories, whether it be in movies, whether it be in comics, whether it be in mangas, whether it be in audibles or whatever, these stories are technically still driven towards like a kid audience. Like Star
Mhm.
Wars is supposed to have like a kid audience. Now there are some darker tales that like, hey, some adults will like this too. But Star Wars is starting to see, hey, because we have this big audience, we need to start telling stories that tell, like you for Lily, she is learning a lesson, and you're
Mhm.
supposed to learn that lesson as well. That's what I'm trying to get at. And at the same time, just like us in the real world, yeah, we can learn a lesson, but there's always going to be that, thought in the back of our head, hey, am I really confident enough now or
Yeah.
not? And that's what Lily is going through. Lily has this entire book is like, yeah, I'm a Jedi Knight. We're gonna do this, but at the same time, she's always like, oh, like she notices that her master is sensing this doubt in her sometimes, and it's kind of good for the fact that like, hey, I need somebody to check myself every once in a while, and it shows growth. It definitely does. So I will applaud them for that. But like I said, the way I'm gonna see Lily's growth probably is going to be in another book, not in this
Yeah.
one necessarily.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. I, again, really enjoyed the art. I really like the saber design, though I hate and that's like traditional way of like katana holding, like I get it, like on her belt, but like the little circles are what like attaches to her belt. And I'm like, how do you just not keep hitting your hands on those?
Yeah,
Like,
so they in the actual book, there's like twice that she ignites them,
mhm,
and it just looks awkward. It because unlike if you've watched Visions, you see the Ronin. Yeah, you see the Ronin like actually have a scabbard where he
mhm,
has the lightsaber. Here, Lily doesn't have scabbards for her katana-esque lightsabers. The actual hilts are basically just like protruding outwards from her hips, and it just looks awkward. And I know that visually it probably looks cool when you grab them from each side and like do
mhm.
whatever, but I don't know. It was one thing that also bothered me, and this is totally like anime manga, is when they ignited their lightsabers, there was a little bit of like an aura, like a spiky aura
Yeah,
around it. And I'm like, that's not a lightsaber. I know what you're doing, but it's not a lightsaber. And it
yeah.
did bother me just a little bit. But I understand, like I said, it's manga, it's anime. Like I know what they're trying to go
Because you
for.
wanna see the blade, like, act like, you wanna try and illustrate that it's moving and it's, like, alive
Yeah.
and stuff.
And I will say, Ronin has spoiled me because like I'm reading this and it's only black and white, and I'm like,
Y
okay, I know that Lily has green lightsabers because of the cover, but what about her master? What about her Padawan? What about the other two kids? Like
yeah,
it kind of sucks to see only lightsabers being white, you know?
yeah. Hey, you can highlight the lightsabers the color of your choice.
No. No, I recommend you not do that, people, because manga is basically like it's a little bit thicker than comic book paper,
Yeah,
but it's like newspaper. So if you highlight one thing, it's gonna bleed straight through to the back. So I highly
they
recommend
make,
you
like
not do it.
they make, like, pencil protectors that you can put between sheets and then just, like, sit a rock or a paperweight on the other side and just let it breathe. I'm just kidding, y'all, I'm kidding. I just Alright, so
I would like to see somebody probably like do it like digitally, like copy like because I'm sure there's people who bought this digitally. Like if they were to take that book and then digitally remaster it with color lightsabers, I think that would be kind of cool.
yeah.
But I think that's pretty much it for the review portion.
Yes. I didn't mind it, I didn't hate it, I didn't necessarily love it either,
Love
so
it. Yeah.
I'm neutral.
It's a book that exists, and I know there's going to be people who love this. Like I said, I could probably start to really care about these characters. I just don't think it's meant for this form of media.
I will say, just as a general another PSA for people who listen, if you've got younger kids and are like, "Okay, well, I gave them the middle grade, I gave them the young adult," and some of the stuff in Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm can maybe veer a little too adult for you because they would have veered too adult for my mom to hand to me. this is probably another good way to engross them in the High Republic,
Yes,
and give them another form of media to enjoy. So,
very much so.
um, but y'all, we have yet to take an ad break, and Clay or I will probably fudge one in earlier, but we're gonna go ahead and take our first ad break, and we'll be right back. And 3, 2, 1, and we're back. Sorry, y'all, we didn't give the warning at the beginning of the show, or just now.
But
So
we do have ads in this show.
we do
If you
have
hadn't already
ads.
heard the first one or yet the second one. Yeah, ads, that's exactly why you should join our Patreon though.
Yes,
You can add you
ad-free
can get
episodes.
ad-free episodes, exactly. But
All
what
right,
do you have
so
on the docket for today?
we've got 7 different news pieces. Some are just like, hey, this is what's happening. But like the main one I really want to talk about, because this is like key for me, y'all. This is key. So we're getting a fucking Luke Skywalker book in 2022.
Oh yeah, the books. I need to find that real quick because I want to
I
read
sent
these
you the
along
links in the
with you.
private chat.
Yes, yes. These I'm so excited for these.
So these are all going to be premiering in um like May to July area. So the first one, the Luke Skywalker book, is called Shadow of the Sith, and it's a Del Rey production. And it takes place post Return of the Jedi and will explain a lot of unanswered questions from the Rise of Skywalker. It is out June 28th, 2022, and Tom, Del Rey, Adam, Christopher, if y'all are listening, I would love to like edit this book or like pre-read, beta read it, and just like tell you how I feel about it. Okay. Y'all, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting for canon books to do.
So
I am so
just
ready for this.
just to get you guys kind of hyped up about this, there is actually a quote here that says, "The Empire is dead. Nearly 2 decades on the battle of from the Battle of Endor, the tattered remnants of Palpatine's force have fled to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. But for the heroes of the New Republic, danger and loss are ever-present companions, even in the newly forged era of peace. Jedi Luke Skywalker is haunted by visions of the dark side, foretelling an ominous secret growing somewhere in the depths of space on a dead world called Exegol. The disturbance in the Force is undeniable, and Luke's worst fears are confirmed when his old friend Lando Calrissian comes to him with reports of a new Sith menace." I am so hyped for this book.
So there's actually more to that too, but it's another 3 paragraphs. But I will like go ahead and jump to the very end. Um, or No, because it's like all kind of necessary. So I'm gonna read the last 3 paragraphs, y'all. And we won't do this for the other 3 books, but y'all, I'm so excited for this one. We gotta like talk about the whole thing. So he says, after his daughter was stolen from his arms, Lando searched the stars for any trace of his lost child. But every new rumor only led to dead ends and fading hopes until he crossed paths with Ochi of Bestoon, a Sith assassin tasked with kidnapping a young girl. Ochi's true motives remain shrouded to Luke and Lando, for on a junkyard moon, aka Jakku, a mysterious envoy of the Sith Eternal has bequeathed a sacred blade to the assassin, promising that it will give him answers to the questions that have haunted him since the Empire fell. In exchange, he must complete a final mission, return to Exegol with the key to the Sith's glorious rebirth, the granddaughter of Darth Sidious himself, Rey. As Ochi hunts Rey and her parents to the end of the galaxy, Luke and Lando race into the mystery of the Sith's lingering shadow and aid a young family running for their lives. So we're gonna find out how Luke knew about Rey Palpatine, and we're getting a fucking Luke Skywalker book. So that's all
I'm
I needed to hear.
I'm super excited about this. I mean, y'all can say whatever about like what the sequel trilogy did, and oh, what about Rey's parents? Blah, blah, blah. Like, here, you're finally getting it, okay? Like, you're getting something.
And to the naysayers who are like, well, you shouldn't have to write a book to explain a movie. Well, dude, suck it up. It's been done for years. Um, you know, you were not gonna get decades of background in in a movie. You're not gonna get it in a 2.5 hour long movie. And if it gone any longer, you would have needed Star Wars Episode 10, The Rise of Skywalker Continued. Like, so for me, I think this really works. I think it's to the best success. It's Adam Christopher, who was originally writing the Mandalorian novel, is the one writing this one. So I'm super excited to see what he does because I know he was really hyped up to do the Mandalorian. And I have to shout this out for Nathan. Nathan was like, "Oh, so he was writing the Mandalorian book. So that means we're gonna get Grogu and Din Djarin in this book." As much as that
Ooh.
would be really cool, Nathan, I don't think it's gonna happen
I don't
because
think.
that's why they canceled the Mandalorian book, is to prevent having other fingers in a galaxy they're still trying to build right now. So,
So it says post.
so it is in 21 BBY, which is 21 years after the end of A New Hope. So Ben Solo is he's about 20 years old at this point
Yeah.
because he was born a year, or he's not 21 years old. He would be about like 14, 15 because he was born about a year after Return of the Jedi.
Well, it says here. It says post Return of the Jedi,
Mhm. Adam
and
Christopher is the one who said that it takes place in 21 BBY.
okay,
So
okay,
he
okay,
answered those
okay.
questions.
So if that's the case, maybe this book is the reasoning behind him in search of those who are force sensitive, like Grogu. You know,
Maybe. I
maybe.
would think he's already kind of built his temple at this point, and I would think is done training Grogu if he trained Grogu for longer than a year or so, depending on how the Mandalorian goes.
Yeah.
Um, but he's realistically probably about to start training Ben as a Jedi Knight.
Okay.
So he's probably searched for force sensitive youth and has found force sensitive youth and is about to say, okay, in 6 months, send me your kids. They will be the new Jedi Knights. Because we know Ben grew up with Leia and Han.
Yes.
So it wasn't immediate that Luke just said, okay, I'm taking your baby and I'm going to train them as a youngling and then a Padawan. So,
I think
y'all,
that would have been a
super
little
pumped for this
much
book.
for just one Luke Skywalker, you know?
Yes. So in Legends, he does kind of along the lines of the same thing. He basically searches the galaxy and says, okay, if you're force sensitive and you want to know how to do things, like come to Yavin 4 and I'll train you how to use your powers. That's how he meets people like Corran Horn. That's Mara Skywalker, even though she was trained like force sensitive wise by the Emperor as one of his hands. She's trained more by Luke to like hone those force powers. But like he trained people of all ages at that point, and he's like, well, I'm pulling people who already have families, so I can't just say like, oh, like we're gonna go back to the ways of the old Jedi and basically cut off all attachments. You're not allowed to see your wife anymore. You're not allowed to see your kids anymore.
We're gonna steal your
So
children.
to your kids, come for your kids, your wife.
So just because I'm like super excited to talk about the other books, one in particular. What I mean, I'm sure you're excited about all of these, but other than Luke, because I think the Luke one was the one that's like, oh my god, yes. So other
Yes.
than that one, what would you say is the one book that you are like, hey, I need this book now?
Um, so probably I'm gonna have to stick with Del Rey and go with Brotherhood, which is the book about Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship during the Clone Wars. It's by Mike Chen, and this is his first Star Wars novel. He did contribute to From a Certain Point of View Strikes Back, where he wrote the Palpatine story in that one. And I
Hmm.
still have to go back and read that. I've been really bad at it. That is one where I tried the post-it note method of taking notes and I hated it. So um but he's really excited about the prequel era. I followed him on Twitter since it was announced he was contributing to From a Certain Point of View Strikes Back, and he's talked so much about the prequels and like getting involved in it and stuff. And so like he put like a whole thread on his Twitter after this was announced and was like, "Yeah, I'm busy with two books, like a little kid, and my wife is like I can't remember what his wife does." But when he got the call where Del Rey offered him this book, he he like told his wife what it was and that it was a prequel era novel, and she was like, "I know how much you love this. We'll make it work." And so like he literally got this like I think he said 18 months ago, maybe, if that. And that's a short time to write a book, y'all. Like that's a really short time to write a book. Because you have to turn in the outline and then you have to like turn in drafts and everything. And
Yeah.
so it's like really quick turnaround time. Um, I think he said it was 18 months between release date for the book and when he got the offer. So it is supposed to be out May 10th, 2022. And I'm like, y'all, can we just like move that up to like May the 4th, please? Like, it's just
Oh,
6 days.
I mean, that would make more
Honestly.
sense. Unless, I mean, do, see, you can't really do this with like, I'm trying to think because like, there's not a whole lot that have like Star Wars, like something like a Star Wars day. Yeah, we're getting fandom here in this next week, but it's not like a DC day, you know. It's just
Yeah.
something that they've dubbed like, hey, this is our convention day. I would think because we still technically have a date of spring 2022. I think May the 4th is when they're going to drop Lego Star Wars if it's not delayed again. Um,
Hope so.
do you think that they would release more than one like big Star Wars property or
Have they done that before?
project
I don't know.
on one day? But so for me, I would have to say because I have missed my boy. He is like one of the main reasons why I love Star Wars. And I always question, like, we talked about this a whole lot whenever we were talking about Light of the Jedi and the Rising Storm. I
Mhm.
love the way the Jedi think. And of course, the one Jedi that was like true to its nature but question everything, Qui-Gon Jinn. We're getting
So you're
another.
excited for Padawan.
I am so excited. I'm so excited. Like I still am very fresh in reading Star Wars novels and everything else. I haven't read anything with Qui-Gon Jinn. Like the only products that I have consumed Qui-Gon Jinn content are the prequels, which is literally just Phantom Menace and Clone Wars. That is it.
So there is Master and Apprentice, which is a Del Rey book. It's a production. Um, and it's by Claudia Gray. Travis was a huge fan. I think Travis was. Snell. Um,
He said something
I,
about it being like one of like his favorites or whatever.
yeah, I was not a huge fan. It felt like another rendition of The Phantom Menace,
Oh,
like
really?
in novelization form. It's my least favorite Star Wars book by Claudia Gray.
Ooh. Okay.
And I have it on my shelf. I haven't like I bought the paperback to say that I have the paperback because at the time I was buying paperback books and then I started buying like the hardcovers for
Yeah.
the High Republic and then I was like, okay, hardcovers. Um, so I have it. I have not touched the paperback at all since I put it on the bookshelf.
I have it
I
on my wish
hated that book.
list on Audible. I do have it on my wish list. I know that when, because what I think right after Ronin, we don't get another like big Star Wars High Republic thing until like next year, right?
So there's Thrawn Ascendancy number 3, and it comes out November 16th.
Oh, and that's on our list of things to talk about. I still need to read the first and second one. Um, so
I was gonna see if Nathan could come back so you could take that one off, but it doesn't sound like he's gonna be able to come back. So,
So
if anything, I'm just talking about it myself.
I will definitely look into it. Because I will be completely honest, just like Qui-Gon Jinn, Thrawn is another character that I've only seen
Mhm,
or really got any content from is from Rebels. Like
mhm,
I haven't really read anything with Thrawn. And I know that like you and Nathan and Greg and Taylor over there at Geekverse, like all of
mhm.
y'all love the Thrawn trilogy. So I will need to definitely put my toes into that. Um,
So, not that this is something that you need to do or anything, because obviously a library is a very good option. Hoopla, for getting audiobooks, very good option.
oh yeah,
use
the
that a
Hoopla app
lot.
is like your local library, isn't it?
So if you have a library card, you can use Hoopla to go get books. Or if you're like me and you're like, I'd rather own it because I listen to books. Like that's what I do at work because I like listening to stories. Um, so like Audible has it to where you can buy 3 credits for $40, which two
Ooh,
credits on Audible are like if you do the 2 credit per month package, I think it's 22.99. So
that might actually be worth it because right now I only subscribe to it, so I get 1 credit a month. So if I do
yeah, I
40,
have the 2 credit per month package. So
oh man, see, maybe I should do that because I like these High Republic, like especially next year, it's gonna go crazy, and I'm gonna need both of those credits every single month. Katie, you're making me spend more money.
I suggested Hoopla first. In all defense, I did say that one first.
I will definitely look into Hoopla for probably more of the legend stuff. I will look for Hoopla, and then the High Republic
So
stuff I will do with my credits.
definitely with the legend stuff, take care that you are not getting the unabridged copies or you're getting the abridged audiobooks because for the longest time, that's all you could get. And so
Huh.
with the release of the Essential Legends collection by Del Rey, Shatterpoint got an unabridged audiobook. Rogue Squadron got an unabridged audiobook. So some of them are abridged, some of them are not. So you just have to look in the
Interesting.
fine prints.
Very, very interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I will write that down. I am I see there's some there's some days I'm just like I have way too much time on my hands. I can't do this stuff, and then it's like I need to move all of that aside and I need to get down and just read all of this. I love Star Wars. Like I'm starting to really really like just engulf in everything that is Star Wars. And like there is nothing on my wish list on Audible that is not Star Wars. Like that is only like what I have for Audible. Uh but I'm really really enjoying it. Now, one book that I was kind of confused on, and maybe you can elaborate on what the premise of this book is supposed to be. It's part of the announcements. It is Stories of Jedi and Sith.
So, yes. So this is basically a middle grade anthology. And it's written by it's 10 different Jedi or Sith perspectives. And it's written by 10, each one is written by a different author. So you've got Roseanne A. Brown, Sarwat Chada, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these. I'm trying, y'all. Delilah S. Dawson, which this is her first return to Star Wars. Really, I mean, she did write in from a certain point of view, Strikes Back. So I guess not really. Never mind. Tessa Gratton, Michael Kogue, Sam Maggs, Michael Morecki, Alex Segura. Ooh, okay, good for him. Vera Strange, Karen Strong, and then it has illustrations in it by Jake Bartok. And so Roseanne is writing a Rey perspective. Sarwat Chada is writing Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Delilah Dawson is writing Asajj Ventress. Tessa Gratton is writing Emperor Palpatine. Michael Kogue is writing Yoda. Sam Maggs is writing Luke Skywalker. Michael Moretti is writing Darth Maul. Alex Segura is writing Qui-Gon Jinn. Vera Strange is writing Darth Vader. And Karen Strong is writing Barriss Offee.
So this would be the canon version of Star Wars Visions, like honestly, um, without the, of course, the Japanese, take on everything. Like I just, because again, it's the question that is always asked: would these be considered canon? Because they are with characters that are genuinely part of the lore.
Well, so the Disney Books summary on here says just in time to celebrate the highly anticipated rematch between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader in the Disney Plus forthcoming event Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here are 10 original stories about the they have a typo VV Valiant Jedi and the Evil Sith. Larger than life characters clash in epic lightsaber battles that will appeal to young readers and to the young Star Wars fan in all of us. 10 acclaimed authors imagine new tales for some of the most iconic Star Wars characters ever, from Luke Skywalker to Darth Vader, from Obi-Wan Kenobi to Darth Maul, and beyond. Who edited this? And beyond, complete with beautiful spot illustrations. So my understanding is that this is going to be canon. Um, because if it's not canon, then they've typically stated up front, hey, this isn't canon, like Visions, like Ronin. Um, So for me, I'm really excited to see what happens. So they've got 1, 2, 4, 5 Jedi on here, 3 confirmed Sith, and then 2 perspectives where they could write either a Jedi or a Sith perspective, with Asajj Ventress and Barriss Offee being those 2. So I'm curious to see where they choose to go with those stories. Because with Barriss Offee, I think it would be really cool to see like what happens after she turns Ahsoka, like she tries to frame Ahsoka and she's caught.
Yeah,
What happens then? Or is it going to be like the story of like, okay, this is telling Barriss's perspective from Jedi to the dark side, where before she frames Ahsoka, and kind of framing it that way, because otherwise I think you're gonna be overwhelmed realistically with, because this is the stories of Jedi and Sith. You're not
yeah,
gonna have 5 confirmed Jedi stories, 3 confirmed Sith, and then throw the 2, because Asajj Ventress was originally a Jedi Padawan, and then at the end of her life, um, like helped Obi-Wan Kenobi and was like a gray Jedi sort of
yeah.
person. So you could flip both of them, but I more see both of those going to be Sith perspectives.
Probably,
So
yeah, most likely. And then there were, what was it? You showed, I think it was you in our GUA chat when this was announced. There was a book that, for me, honestly, it sounded very familiar to me as well. Um, wasn't it the, or it might have been Shadow of the Sith, wasn't it? Wasn't Shadow of the Sith like the a title of an old canceled video game?
yes, it was Shadow of the Sith, and I think this one
Okay.
is. I think, oh, it was Shadows of the Sith, and this one is Shadow of the Sith.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, why does that sound so familiar? Because I think that there was a old Nintendo 64 game. I think it was, no, I think it wasn't canceled. There was a Shadows of the Sith game that I'm pretty
We can
sure
do a Google.
Google is our best friend. Nintendo 64 Star
Was
Wars
a
game.
proposed video game concept
Oh,
by.
Shadow of the Empire is what the game
Mm,
was. So, aha. So, completely different. That's the game I remember. But
ooh, it was originally based to focus on the character of Ben Skywalker.
ooh, that would have been fun.
Ben
So,
Skywalker's Mara and Luke Skywalker's son.
so after all of these, so we talked about Padawan, we talked about Sith, Jedi's and Sith, we talked about Brotherhood, we talked about
So
Shadows of the Sith.
Brotherhood, real quick. I'm really excited to see if that kind of explores like what Anakin did to um become a Jedi Knight, because obviously we know, okay, Jedi mu- Jedi Padawans must face a trial to become Jedi Knights. Um and so in this it says, amid the brewing chaos, Anakin Skywalker rises to the rank of Jedi Knight. And so I'm curious to see, like, if it was the Clone Wars that was his trial, or if there was something else, like what happened. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see that. But this is, it's been phrased as the story where Obi-Wan and Anakin move from Master and Padawan to becoming the brothers that they're so known for in the movies.
Yeah.
So really excited to read it. And this one comes out first. So, but I'm like, seriously, like Luke Skywalker, like this is what I've been waiting for, y'all. Again, I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry because this is literally what I've been begging for. Because, like, it's one thing to give us the High Republic, and the High Republic, I'm so glad we got because it brings us the Jedi back to books. But there's something about Luke Skywalker and just like having him be like the person that like that was who I imagined myself being on screen. And like when I was a kid. So being able to now like get more of what Disney wants his story to be in canon, I'm here for it. Like, where's the next one? Where's the next one being announced? Like,
Man,
please.
we are getting these books in a 3-month span. May, June, and July.
Yes. So Brotherhood is May 10th. Shadow of the Sith is June 28th, 2022. Stories of Jedi and Sith is out June 7th, 2022, and Padawan is out July 26th, 2022. So,
Yeah. Insane. So I definitely need to upgrade my subscription to 2 credits a month. Probably starting next year. But I think those are the only books that were announced. So
yes.
I have no idea because I'm not really in the know for all of this. But this individual here, Alan Horn, I don't know much about him.
I don't know much about him either, but he's the chief creative officer for um Disney Studios, and he is retiring at the end of the year. Um, so yeah, that's
Is
about all I
this
know.
is this gonna have like big setbacks or uh you know less obstacles for Star Wars? I guess it's a big thing when somebody like this leaves the company. I'm sure it's almost in the same light as Bob Iger leaving Disney to have the new Bob,
I would think so. So he was originally started with 20th Century Fox as an executive before co-founding Castle Rock Entertainment, which produced a variety of films, including When Harry Met Sally, Misery, City Slickers, A Few Good Men, The Shawshank Redemption, American President, and the Before trilogy, and uh, also helped produce things like Seinfeld. Um, and he eventually moved to Warner Bros., where he became president and COO of the company during a period which saw the rise of franchises like The Matrix, Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, and a renewed commitment to adaptations of DC Comics.
Huh.
He moved to Disney, and he was at Warner Brothers from 1999 to 2011, and moved to Disney in 2012, and obviously ending in 2021. Um,
Almost a 10-year run. Not bad.
yeah. Um, Disney remains the only studio to have 2 years of over 7 billion in box office revenue in 2016 and 2018 respectively, along with the all-time record of 11 billion in 2019.
Huh.
So, that's about all the article says. There's not currently a word on a replacement for him. Um, but who knows? So I threw it in because it was Disney. Really, I don't see that changing much for Star Wars in general. Because it's kind of he might have some say so, but I think Kathleen Kennedy spearheads a lot of it, and Kathleen Kennedy's going nowhere, y'all.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
all right, let's take another ad break. We'll come right back to finish off the rest of the news. So stay tuned. Uh, sorry if you hear the same ad. We apologize. And watch those volume levels. We'll be right back. And 3, 2, 1. And we are back. Thanks for listening, y'all. I appreciate it if you're tuning in. Appreciate the podcast magic, y'all. All right. So next things next. This is just something to kind of throw out there. But Disney and Lucasfilm have announced Bring Home the Bounty merchandise campaign. Um, and the quote from Paul Southern, Senior Vice President of Franchise and Licensing at Lucasfilm, said, "With the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary coming to a close this year, we wanted to find a way to celebrate all of our beloved characters and stories from the classic to the new and everything in between. There will be something to excite every Star Wars fan this year with such a wide assortment of items to enjoy and engage with, whether fans are adding to their own collections or scouring for the perfect gift." Because this is coming right around Christmas time, y'all. So perfect stop.
I,
So week 1 introduced a lot of Funko Pops. So the entire list, um, where so we've got a Stormtrooper head for week 1 as the image. We have a regular Mandalorian helmet for week 2, which is this coming week. Week 3 is Bo-Katan's helmet, and week 4 it looks like Ahsoka, so could be very interesting there.
it says here at the bottom of the article, it says bringhomethebounty.com is where you can check out more details, but every Tuesday a new product will be announced.
Okay.
I am looking at it right now. It says week 1. It looks like there are several different Hasbro figures. It looks like
Funko Pops.
yeah. Uh, it looks like that would be Ahsoka at the very end on week 4. They have
Yeah.
these cool little like projector things. If you keep scrolling, you see like Baby Grogu, uh, and other that one right there. You're looking at it
So you,
also. Okay.
so you got the Stormtrooper helmet, regular Mandalorian helmet, Bo-Katan for October 26th, Ahsoka Tano for week 4. Then you've got I like that looks like Rex's helmet.
Yeah.
Grogu, and then Tusken Raider. A I don't ever know what these droids are called. I always just call them the trash can droids.
That's what I've always known them as, trash can droids, because they look like trash cans.
Yeah, he's a trash can droid with a little like bow on him. He's so cute. And then we have the 50 Lucasfilm Limited logo for week 9. And this is what Mr. Snow has been on and on about. For December 14th, we have a video game console controller thingamajigger. Um, he's thinking we're gonna get like a video game announcement that day, or possibly even like a video game coming out.
I don't
I
think it'll
doubt it.
come out. I don't think it'll come out. I think this is where we get the the announcement for that Quantum Realm video game that has been so rumored. Of course, if people don't remember, Quantum Realm is the video game company that has stories like Detroit Become Human and things like that. It's very story driven, not necessarily something that you walk around in. It is more so a hey, choose out of these three or four choices to make the story progress type of story. And if that is announced right before Christmas, genius, absolute genius.
I I think it's gonna be more like personalized video game sets because this whole thing is like actually providing you things to buy.
Ooh,
So
if they can give me some sort of vinyl that I can put on my Nintendo Switch just in time for Lego Star Wars to come out next year, that would be cool. I would enjoy that.
I picture that's more what that's gonna be and not actually a video game announcement.
We'll see. We'll keep it in the cards, and we'll see if Clay told you so, or Travis told you so, or if Katie told you so. Hashtag Katie told you so.
Hashtag get told you so. But no, y'all, the week 11, we've got a Stellan Geos lightsaber crossed with what looks like a traditional, like, prequel trilogy lightsaber. So that could be very cool. Probably just some lightsabers that you can buy, whether it's through Force FX or your Walmart, because that's where I got my lightsabers as a kid, y'all. So, and then we've got a Boba Fett helmet, which that's the last week
That the
of the
week
year, December
of
28th. So,
the
Book of
Book of
Boba Fett
Boba.
toys.
Yeah, it's when it that is the week it comes out. So I think that would be perfect for them to. Well, I think it actually drops because it's the second to last week that Book of Boba Fett comes out, right? Or is it the
No,
last
it
week?
comes out the 29th.
Oh wow! So that would be perfect for for them to announce, "Hey, here's all of your Boba Fett merchandise right before the series." That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So obviously we're here weekly. So and it the new stuff comes out the day before, so we'll be here to tell you all of what's coming, y'all. So yeah. Um, so that is bringhomethebounty.com. Just a quick little snippet here. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kumail Nanjiani talks about his substantial role in the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. So the show wrapped filming last month and is in post-production. Kumail spoke to Empire about his substantial role in the upcoming series, leaving behind some very interesting seeds for fans to pick up. Um, so he discussed first on how he landed the role, and it was unusual to him compared to what he usually gets. So he said, "My agents called me, and it was the whole group of them that never call you." And I was like, "Okay, this is either amazing news or really awful news." And they're like, "They want you to play a part in Obi-Wan, and apparently it's substantial." So then I talked to director Deborah Chow, and we had a great conversation, and the character sounded awesome. And I was so excited about this character. We haven't seen this exact thing in Star Wars yet. This is like a new version of a type of Star Wars character we've seen before, and she was trying to sell me on it. And I was like, I was gonna do it before the conversation, but now you've like convinced me. I
Hmm,
added that last part because it sounded like it needed it.
that that's interesting. A new version of a type of Star Wars character we've already seen before.
So, and I don't want to be the person that's like, oh hey, um, we've seen a person of his race in Star Wars before, and so he's playing the adult version of that character. But I really think he's playing Anakin Skywalker's best friend.
Oh, I was thinking the exact same thing. That I mean,
Because especially now that he said a new version of a type of character you've seen before.
that would that would be heartbreaking. I can already think of the scenario. Don't do this to me, Lucasfilm. Like, because I mean, we in. I mean, I'm trying to think of even because you haven't read them yet. I'm thinking of like the Darth Vader comics. I think he's only.
Omnibus got delayed again. Okay, y'all. It got delayed.
I think he's only revisited Tatooine like once or twice after actually donning uh the Darth Vader title and of course getting his new get up.
Okay.
So I don't know if Darth Vader would interact with his character, but if that happens, like of course he wouldn't know that's Anakin, but like we would know. Oh man, I can only no. That's just heartbreaking.
So he described getting to know Ewan McGregor on set and watching him transform into Obi-Wan once the cameras rolled. I had this moment. I'd heard Ewan was super nice, and then we got to know each other a little bit, just hanging out and talking. Then there was this weird moment where I'm talking to Ewan and they yell action, and he'd start talking to me, and I was like, oh, I'm talking to Obi-Wan right now. This is not Ewan McGregor. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi that I'm talking to. My character is supposed to be a little intimidated by him, and I was a little bit intimidated, you know? It's fucking Obi-Wan. What are you gonna do?
I
I love that.
I love the stories of like, because I mean, of course, it's acting, So like
Mhm.
we know as individuals who just love this type of media, love movies, love TV shows or whatever. We know like there's some actors that you can watch and be like, yeah, no, that's like not all the time, but sometimes I watch something and I'm like, I don't care who you are, but you're Tom Hanks. Like I see Tom Hanks, you're Tom Hanks. Like I'm sorry.
You see
Uh
Hugh Jackman, you see Wolverine.
exactly. Same thing with Keanu Reeves. He can be in anything and I'm just like you're Keanu Reeves. Like I'm sorry. Like I can't see anything other than Keanu Reeves. But like I would love to see a little bit more of like and I know that they did this for ooh I want they aren't necessarily doing this kind of thing. They aren't necessarily doing this type of thing for Star Wars, I don't think yet, because I don't think they've done it for Mandalorian. But what if we get just like how in uh the Marvel series of like WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier, if we get something along the lines of the quote unquote legends of Star Wars and they do like a behind the scenes stuff
That
for
would be so
Kenobi,
cool.
I would want to see some of that. Cuz
And
like
they've already
sometimes
done it
some
really with High Republic. Like you could go into like all the novels we get and everything.
yeah, yeah, like I would be I would be down. Like they need to start doing it for Mandalorian because I don't even think if I go to Disney Plus right now, click Mandalorian, I don't think there's like specials
Mm-mm.
or extras for the Mandalorian.
I think they roped it all into the Disney gallery that they do
See, no, I want like a special on
on the character.
on
Yeah.
the character of Kenobi. I think that would be kind of cool. And then getting some of that like behind the scenes footage and seeing that transformation. Um,
Hmm.
I just think like Ian McGregor, like I I've seen that famous interview where he's talking about how he embarrasses his daughter in like I think it's like Hollywood or in LA or whatever. And like he the way he tells this story and you can find it anywhere but he was apparently yelling at somebody in the car and like yelling at somebody in their car and apparently that driver had like this dumbfounded look on his face and he's like, oh, I totally knew what he was thinking at that moment. He was thinking, that's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like just the way Ewan like tell stories, like he is probably genuinely like just a fun person to be around. I could just tell.
I think so. And like especially looking at like some of his Birds of Prey stuff. Oh my gosh. The man the man can act.
I
Um
he needs to be in more stuff. He definitely needs to be in more stuff, and I need to see more Kenobi. I don't like. Do we know if this is like a for sure like limited series?
yes, they have said limited series.
Damn it.
Well, because the whole point of him being on Tatooine is to protect Luke. So there's
Yes.
got to be one thing where he's like, okay, I'm leaving, but then something is basically going to push him at the end to go, okay, I can never leave this planet again. Like, I have to protect Luke. So, the last thing he said in the interview related to Obi-Wan Kenobi was about the volume technology of the set. And so he said, you really feel like you're there. The first scene we shot, it was Star Wars outside the windows with aliens walking around and ships flying by and all this stuff. But the rest of it just looked like a warehouse. So I did a couple of takes, and then Ewan was like, none of this is real. I knew the windows weren't real, but the walls weren't either. I looked and I was like, wow, the walls are projected. The only thing that was real in the whole room was the desk I was sitting at. It was wild. It was really, really exciting. I love shooting like that because you don't have to pretend that you're on a spaceship flying through space. It really feels like you're in a spaceship flying through space. And it's amazing to be inside the world of Star Wars, the world that I've been watching since I was born. I've been a fan as long as I can remember. In fact, I just went to Disneyland and I went to the Star Wars world and I was like, oh, this kind of feels like being at work.
Nice.
I can't wait to see what he does. And I'm really glad he will have a significant role because he's just so dang funny. And like, ah,
And it's
so excited.
I'm really glad for him. I didn't really know much of his work beforehand until he was on that Netflix movie. Um was it the Valentine movie? I forgot what it was where
Hey. Oh,
where like
it's so good.
he was like framed for murder or whatever. Like
Well, it
that
was
one.
funny. He wasn't framed for murder. He just thought he was framed for murder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a funny movie. I didn't get to see the one with him and Dave Bautista where he was like the Uber driver. I
That was
really
not as good. Not as
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah.
Damn it. I was wanting to watch that one. But I'm really excited. He's gonna be in Eternals, which is coming out in like a little less than a month. And then of course he's gonna be in this next year. So really, really excited to see more of him for sure. Uh now I haven't been keeping up with it by reading it, but I know a couple of friends that I listen to them review it all the time. They have been reading this. The next story we have is The Hidden Empire to serve as a 2022 Star Wars Marvel Comics event. Of course, we have kind of read this through like the Crimson Reign and everything going on with uh, War of the Bounty Hunters and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
This was technically the War of the Bounty Hunters was like the first technical event that happened in Star Wars, and now they're moving on with their second one, the Hidden Empire. I'm
So
really
the
like
second one is actually Crimson Reign.
yeah, Crimson Reign, and then going into uh
The Hidden Empire is supposedly the culmination of the trilogy
yeah,
and will basically flesh out what happens between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
yeah. Really excited about this. I, of course, like we have always said, I am a trade waiter. So I either wait until I can buy it physically in a trade, or I wait until it's completely collected onto Marvel Unlimited, and then I read it that way. But I've been really digging what they have been doing uh, in the Star Wars books. I've heard a lot of praise for War of the Bounty Hunters. And it's really cool to see, a, you know, plot point of a series that has now become a cult following
Mm-hmm.
with Solo. Um, I didn't realize this until today. There's like I think I saw it today. There is an entire Twitter account devoted for like make Solo 2 happen. Um,
Yes.
which I think is awesome. Uh, I still cross my fingers and hope that like something spins off of like a Disney Plus thing, but who knows? But if it means that I'm only getting this stuff in a comic book form, if it sells well, I'm pretty sure these people working for Marvel, working for Star Wars and Lucasfilm and everything else can probably finally convince whoever they need to convince to make a Crimson Dawn like novel, which I would absolutely
No,
love.
I would love to see it.
Yeah. But there's not really much as far as the Hidden Empire, just for the fact that it is
Mm-mm.
going to be wrapping up and it will be next year.
Yes. So that's really all that's there. I believe it was in that news, which thank you, Star Wars Newsnet, for always providing the news for the podcast. Um, but I believe it was confirmed when the War of the Bounty Hunters released today, that Hidden Empire was supposed to be the third part of that trilogy. The next bit, again, very small. We know Mandalorian season 3 is filming right now. And Carl Weathers confirmed that he will begin filming his return as Grief Karga for The Mandalorian starting tomorrow. Um, so yeah, that's about it.
Very, very nice. Before we hit our last story, I think it's our last story.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
let's go ahead and take one last ad break. This will definitely be the last. I am pretty sure. Um, but we will be right back. And we are back. So scary thunder outside. I did not realize it was raining. Um, my dog is now going nuts. Um, the only reason why I know this news story exists is because it has been blowing up everywhere on Twitter today, which I'm excited about. But again, guys, don't get too overly excited because this isn't something that is necessarily like, hey, I did this because it's confirmed. Um, Star Wars Visions director Kinji Kamiyama confirms the Ninth Jedi is a pilot episode, meaning he did an interview. I can't
Plan for
remember
more
who.
story.
Basically that
Shots play.
he has basically plotted out an entire feature film of what the Ninth Jedi would be. I'm down for it. I think that Disney and Star Wars should definitely make it happen. This is exactly what we were talking about in our conversations when we reviewed Visions. I think that Lucasfilm should be okay with giving the reins to somebody like Kamiyama and making this awesome Star Wars story, but putting it into the production of Disney. Now, I know that we were having these kinds of conversations in the GUA, and they were like, "Oh, I don't think that would be the greatest idea," and and I think it's more so because they were confusing. They were getting confused with us saying, "Oh, you should just give it to like Funimation and let them like have complete control, and they publish it and they do whatever." No, I think it's still in the property of Disney, still a Disney property. It still releases on Disney Plus, but I think you should legitimately give Kamiyama, and I can't remember which production was he working with. He was
Oh,
because I can't remember
this
what the Ninth Jedi's production studio was.
production IG.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I think it should happen. I definitely 100% think this should happen. Have it as a have it as your first original Star Wars film on Disney Plus.
Hmm.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I really think it would be cool to see, though y'all know my opinion. I really think if you're gonna have non-canon stuff, just hand it to the studio and say, here, you pay me 5% of whatever you make on this. Have fun. So,
Yeah, I don't see it as like something that would hurt the brand whatsoever. I think that what like I'm pretty sure the Ninth Jedi is very high on everybody's list of, if we asked everybody who watched Star Wars Visions that enjoyed it, where the Ninth Jedi, landed on their list. I think it's high for everybody.
mhm.
I I just genuinely think, hey, give this to them, have them work on everything, music. Yeah, you could probably ask, whoever is, the current composer, Giacchino, on, Star Wars right now, and be like, hey, yeah, we would like to use this for this or that for that. We would still like to use some of our Disney brand Star Wars stuff in this film here, here, and here. But otherwise, go wild, do what you
Yeah.
want. And you know, just we already know that Disney Plus is worldwide. You put it on Disney Plus, it's still not going to hurt anything, but you give the credit to those creators.
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome.
Let's see it. So I don't know. I want Disney to kind of stick to canon stuff, like I said. And yes, it's worldwide, so it would get more. reach, but I also think if you really want to have success with this, then you give it to the studio and say, okay, you put this on video on demand or like purchase
Well,
for
yeah, like
print
because
and stuff.
also I was gonna say like also just recently, Demon Slayer, an anime, um, just had a movie, uh, basically saved Japan during quarantine. And I'm saying like you can still push it out to theaters like as their own thing. It would still like technically Star Wars is owned by Disney. That brand is always going to be a part of it. You're always going to have in the credits whatever. It's a Disney owned property. And that
Yeah,
is why mostly why I'm saying hey after their release on worldwide theaters or whatever goes to Disney Plus.
yeah. I think for me, the other thing too with it, with things going straight to Disney Plus, and now you've said goes to theaters and everything, but the other thing with stuff going to Disney Plus is that anything that's Disney Plus specific, they're not putting physical media out. So, like,
That's true
Mandalorian
also. Yeah.
will not have any physical release copies, and I'm like, I hate that. So, I don't want anything to go straight to Disney Plus anymore because I want the ability to have that physical media. And yes, it's gonna phase more and more out, but I'm also very protective of my physical media. It's why I don't like digital purchases. So, like, and for all of my Audible stuff, I download all of my Audible books so then I can use them on my phone or my laptop and not have to worry about Audible's cloud app service. So I don't know. I prefer having the ability to get physical media. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I've said this more so on DC Alliance and a little bit in Patreon, talking stuff about comics. I think it was 2019 where I decided, hey, like I'm only moving from apartment to apartment. Now, this is completely different for somebody like Katie who just recently now owns a house. I'm still in an apartment. And for me, moving is a bitch. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Going from place to place to place, that's an entirely different conversation. But I think it was the fourth time that I moved my like 6 long boxes of comics and then all 12 of these short boxes of comics up 3 flights of stairs, three, freaking up and down. I'm just like, yeah, no, no more. Not doing it ever again. Now I keep buying physical volumes of manga, but those are like very, very light. Like they feel like
yes,
freaking
like I'm very specific about what I have physical media about. If it's like something like I don't, gosh, I don't know. But like stuff like The Office and Friends and How I Met Your Mother, like I have all of those DVDs because I've also been in a place where I've been without internet and not been
yes,
able to get
that also
anything.
sucks. Cuz
So
I've had instances where like internet goes out and Abby will be like, "Well, can't we watch a movie?" And I'll be like, technically no because we don't have internet. So it does bite me in the butt there. I will completely admit that. But you are right. The one things the few things that should I say that I actually buy physical media for are things that I'm very passionate about. Manga would be one of them. I only have a couple of hardcovers of comics. Um, Inverted cameras having me point like all sorts of different ways because I don't know how mirrors work. Jesus, yeah. But it's those kinds of things. Like for me, I have the entire collection of Smallville. Like I absolutely love that series, and so I own that. Um, I was given the entire franchise of Star Trek Voyager. I think I own that, but everything else digital, 100% digital, and it like I said before, it sometimes bites me in the butt. I I was asking a few friends, I think right before season 2 of Mandalorian came out. I was like, why haven't they announced the Blu-ray yet? Like
yeah,
and
they're not doing it.
and that's when I started to look more into it. Things like Netflix has physical releases.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure if HBO Max has physical releases, but I do know that DC Universe Online had physical releases at one point. So you can still find a Titan Season 1, a Titan Season 2, a Doom Patrol Season 1. But I don't think you can find seasons of Doom Patrol after that, like Season 2.
Nope. So Doom Patrol complete second season is $18.39 for the DVD on Amazon.
Oh, Season 2 for Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
Huh. So HBO Max has physical releases. Disney, that like it is a smart. It is both a smart and a dumb decision. Smart decision because it forces you to stay subscribed, but it's a dumb decision just because that's more revenue. Like people are gonna stay subscribed and purchase your content. Like it's just gonna happen, you know.
And I'm hoping once because they haven't released like a complete show yet, but I'm also like, I have seasons 1 through 6 of the Clone Wars on DVD. Can I have season 7, please? Can I have
Yeah,
season 7?
that would be something that would irk me so much if I own that complete series and not have the final season. That would just be super annoying.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Oh man.
So y'all, it's been a day. We talked about the Edge of Balance. We talked about some Luke Skywalker books. We talked about Obi-Wan Kenobi books, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Visions. So I think this concludes us today.
Yes, I think it does. Man, could you imagine if we would have stayed the same schedule as what we were essentially going to be? We would just now be getting started.
I
Like
know.
that's insane. I'm getting old. I'm getting tired.
I'm
This
so
was
glad you said 7 because it just makes my day because I get to go to bed.
I get to go eat and then go to bed. So again, guys, thank you so much for lasting this long. If you have lasted this long, let us know. Comment below on the YouTube channel. We have our moderators and of course the podcast godfather himself. Snell checks on these YouTube channels all the time.
Yep.
So if you have anything to say about what we said, if you disagreed with us on the edge of balance, let us know. Talk to us on Star Wars Alliance on Twitter. I am at Fanboy Clay. Of course, Katie is Slice of Katie.
Yep.
John, congratulations on that win again. I'm super
Thank you
jealous
for
of you.
being the one to participate. I
Yes.
appreciate you.
And we will never stop asking for y'all's reviews because it does help with the algorithm. It does help us get new listeners. So if you can please review us on our solo feed, that would be greatly appreciated. But with that, guys, I think that is it. Like we said, we will be back next week. If you
Talk
want to
about
see,
Terrifying Tales.
oh yeah, I almost watched it. I was like, no, wait. I'll wait a little bit. I'll wait a little bit longer so that way it's a little bit more fresh when we finally talk about it.
Yes.
But if you would like to see our beautiful faces again before our next episode of Star Wars Alliance, make sure to be at the Geekverse YouTube channel on Saturday. Most of us are going to be a part of that live stream and watching things live. So until next week. Thank you so much. Oh, I keep trying to do the DC one. Katie, this is all yours. You do it. I need to learn it.
Y'all, I hope y'all have a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching, and we'll see y'all next time. May the force be with y'all.
See ya.